I'm doing a little intro, which I don't normally do for a podcast because we had some audio and video issues. There's a little bit of clicking noise that got recorded, which also meant that Zoom was switching to me more often than it should. So that's why there's some weird camera switching. But it's a great conversation, so look forward to that. And here's the episode. All right, so today I am here with some great creators, the creators of the game Chai, which now has an expansion going out on Kickstarter. Dan and Connie, thank you guys for joining me. How are you doing?
Hey,
We're good. Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
yeah, it's
So,
been raining in Canada, but we're getting some better weather now, so hopefully we can go on a walk or two.
yeah, that'd be great. And you guys had, from my knowledge, just two Kickstarters so far. You had the original Chai launching in 2018, which did phenomenally. Like 2,500-ish backers and over 130,000 raised. Seemed like a great success. Looks like an awesome game, and you had tons of amazing reviews from the industry influencers. And now you're coming back with an expansion, and already within about a week, it's seeming to do pretty awesome. About 1,400 backers. So, tell me about that experience. What was the first Kickstarter like? What's this new Kickstarter like? Just give me maybe some background on why you started Deepwater Games, and let's start right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
and we're Steeped Games. We had an old name, Deep Aqua, but yeah, we're making Sea games now, so Steeped Games is a new little brand. But
That makes more sense because I was watching the original video and seeing the Steeped Games, and so now it all makes sense. Great.
yeah, but we were making a submarine game at the time, and I
hmm
guess we got more steeped
Mm.
into beverages. So maybe we'll do a coffee game down the road. People are wanting that, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, so we launched a campaign December of 2018. We
hmm
basically from conception in our mind in March of that year. 9 months later, we had 1,000 playtesters from a free print and play online, and they were gracious enough to give us a try. So we were like, let's just throw it on Kickstarter and see what happens. So it was really exciting to see the support, and we just fulfilled about 2 months ago to all our backers. So we just have a couple here and there that we need to figure out because of COVID, but we're like, hey, let's launch a surprise expansion. We have another couple games coming out in the Chai series, but the expansion seemed like a really good fit, and yeah, people have jumped on board, and we're glad to have the community support.
So, can you tell me a little bit of what got you into designing and where the theme came from? It seems like you guys are all in on that, and I love how there's just puns integrated everything on your campaigns.
Yeah. Well, Daniel's actually been a chess master for how many years? Since you were 13 or something like
Yeah,
that?
being a nerd my
Yeah.
whole life.
So, I mean, in terms of the strategic part, that's something that he's always excelled in. Both of us come from a background of doing graphic design, just for various things that we've been a part of or jobs that we've taken in the past. So, that part kind of came naturally. Like, we wanted the design process, I guess, was something that we like doing.
hmm
And then it was really, yeah, that submarine game that got us thinking about designing in a more serious way. So Daniel had gone to Edmonton for a design conference. And then on his way back, he's like, you know what? Tea would be really cool, and I'm a big tea collector, so I have probably, I would say, equal. No, I think we have more board games than tea, but we do have a lot of tea canisters around the house and stuff. So it was, yeah, I jumped on it right away. That it made sense to me, and
Yeah,
yeah, and
it's
so
a good
kind of
theme
went there.
for both of us.
Yeah.
The submarine game had like minis and stuff, so like,
hmm
well, maybe this is 5 years down the road.
It's a little
So
complicated for a first time creator. So
yeah, a family tea game seemed like it'd be better up our alley, and it fits both of us. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and we at the same time we do have molding costs. We have a special terracotta cup, so that was really cool. The guy who did scythe and tidal blades and other things, he helped design that for us, and I guess we made it the most complicated tea game that we could,
Yep.
component wise. Like there's little azul acrylic tiles and metal coins and
Mm-hmm.
game trays, but Yeah, those are really fun stretch goals that we had throughout the campaign that
Mm-hmm.
everyone helped us do. So it's been fun.
And the first campaign, I would say, was definitely a huge learning curve. Yeah, we didn't realize going in how many nights of lost sleep we would have. Um, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think we were surviving on like 2-3 hours, but it was also really good because our community was really behind us the whole time. So even we saw random posts in other Facebook groups where people are like, "Oh, go check out this game" or whatever. So having that, I think at the time it was about 1,000, yeah, 1,000
Yeah.
people in our tea community, who, yeah, just came alongside us and kind of spread the word for us.
That's so cool. Do you feel like the main component, because it sounded like you said you had 1,000 people print and play and play test your game. Like, was that the main part of your community that you created, or were there other areas that you had people jump in?
Yeah, lots of family and friends helped make a good 40 prototypes of the games. So we sent those to reviewers. We didn't know that the factory could print them in advance. For the
Yeah.
print and play, we had a Google Doc. So like anyone who would play, they would just type in some information. Like they call it blind playtesting or blind feedback because it would just look at the rules and
Mm-hmm.
then try the game and see how it went. So that really helped us refine things and tweak their expectations, I guess. Like it did morph throughout the whole process. But yeah, ultimately it was just our community on Facebook. We have some tea and board game lovers in there, and we didn't do any Facebook ads and stuff. We learned about those later, but yeah, just a lot of family, friends, and then people that discovered the game along the way.
Okay. So I'm actually also a game designer, at least in the past. In 2018, I launched 3 different board game Kickstarters, and each of them were successful, but not to the degree that Chai was. And so I'm wondering, like, what do you feel like led to the success you had? Was it the playtesters? Was it the community you built beforehand? Was it the game itself and the components? Because I would love to make my next campaign as successful as yours.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a secret to success, but people will say that like working in different ways towards like having it explode is really important too. So we tried to set ourselves up that if it made $500 or 5,000 or 50,000, that we would still like put our best foot forward. And I guess that showed itself in the components. We're like, hey, let's not um, have like really flimsy cardboard that people would want to upgrade. Let's make it really thick from the get go. Um, yeah, I think, well, I guess even the rules, like we played it with my parents, and my mom couldn't explain how to do one of the 3 actions. And we're like, oh no, we failed as game designers. Like if this is a family game and your mom and dad can't play it, well, then it's not a family game. So we just had to, take a step back and realize that for people that like tea and haven't played too many games, maybe they're gateway gamers like Catan or Ticket to Ride, like through their eyes, are they having a good time? Are their expectations met for like game length? For us, it was 10 minutes per player, which is pretty accurate. Um, yeah, so just seeing it through that lens instead of just a pure, what do we like to play? Because we're hobbyists too. We got a couple hundred games, but um, someone like my parents wouldn't want to play Scythe or Gaia Project or Terraforming Mars from the get-go. Maybe I can get them, in a few months now that they've been part of our journey. But um, yeah, just managing those expectations and then figuring out how to get people into your cause. Because really, it's all of them making the game with us. It's not just us putting out a product. So making their voice heard.
And even along the line, during the Kickstarter, people were like, "Oh, we want social goals. We want them." So then,
Like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
I think it was halfway through the campaign. We're like, "Sure, I guess we'll draft up a document and put it on Kickstarter as another graphic." And so we kind of, yeah, we just paid attention to what our community wanted and delivered as best as we could.
Yeah, we might have been a
Yeah,
bit naive in terms of
totally.
the 33 stretch goals, but
Mm.
we had a bit of margin working with a great manufacturer who was communicative, and yeah, it all came together. So even if our like profit margin wasn't there, because we invested a lot of time and stuff beyond the money,
Mhm.
it was still a really worthwhile project, and to the point where I'm doing it full time right now, and Connie, as a teacher, she's helping out on the side.
Wow, that's incredible. So you are making enough from this that you can just go in full time?
Not making enough, but like trying to. I'm giving it a year, and we're just trying to rock it. And Connie's been super supportive, and our family as well.
Mm.
And like my dad has a wood workshop, so we have a laser cutter in there now that helped with some custom wooden editions of the game. And yeah, we're just trying to make it happen, and it's going well so far. We had our retail launch planned for last week, but because of COVID, it's going to be bumped back, 4 or 5 months into the fall. And yeah, that stuff happens, and yeah, we'll just have to ride with it.
So why did you decide to do the self-publishing route instead of pitching this to publishers like Yellow Games or something?
Yeah, I think for us, we're idea people. We love creating new games. We love seeing what's kind of missing, what are the niches within the board game market too. And we realized too, if you go with an established publisher, usually they have years of games that are already on their docket. And so the games that we identify as niches right now are probably not going to get out into the world until 3-4 years later, when somebody else would have stepped in already. So that was one thing. We thought it would be really creative, and a kind of a new experience for us, but also gets the game out faster too.
Yeah, we have a great playtesting community here in town. So there's Roxley, who made Santorini, Brass, and a bunch of other games. So I'm actually heading out to play soccer with them in a couple hours, just passing the ball around. But at the same time, we're going to chat about, Chai and their games. And it's been really neat how different publishers in the industry, we all help each other, just like the gamers too. So that's quite unique and really helped propel us into answering questions that we had going into the Kickstarter, and now coming out, like how do you get into retail? We partnered with Rodney Smith, Watch It Play, to do a video for Chai last week. And yeah, people, they're giving us a chance in the industry, and it's been super helpful. And we've been looking for ways to give back too. So without their support, it definitely wouldn't have happened, because we don't know how to do, like shipping regions and figuring out how do you get 4 boxes to Australia, let alone my own house. So it's been a learning adventure for sure.
So I don't know if you're comfortable or able to share this, but I think a lot of people are curious because they've seen the Kickstarter successes and also the failures where the campaigns run out of money. And I also was one who got shipping estimates that were wildly different than the actual shipping amounts. And so it cut into my margins quite significantly. Can you share like the margins and the costs that are involved, and kind of like what you learned in terms of financing for that you're applying to this expansion and games in the future?
Totally. Yeah, I guess Jamie Stegmaier has some really good blogs that we basically used as like our rule book or manual for the campaign and beforehand. So that was super helpful. And even reaching out to him, like he'll answer any questions. So that was really cool. But in board games, as you know, having a ratio of at least 7 or 8 to 1, basically saying if your game costs $70 MSRP, like your game should only be a manufacturing cost of $10, or maybe like 9 or 8 or 12. And that's really a good rule of thumb. If you're going into retail, you could even get up to 10 for like card games. So like a $10 game is only $1 to manufacture. For us, it's been a little bit harder because we had game trays and molding costs for the cups. So
and all the plastic tiles.
Totally, yeah. We
it was very expensive.
Actually had to help the factory buy a second machine to help with the tiles, because we had over 1 million printed. I think we did a print run of 5,000 or 6,000 copies, and each game came with like 80 or 90 tiles. So they're like, just to get this done in the next 45 days with one machine isn't working. So we helped them with that, and that helped with the retail print run. Like they paid us back through that. So just having creative financing has been really important. But to be completely honest, like the little bit that we had extra, we invested into conventions. So we went to Essen last year, and we drove down to Gen Con. I did a 25-hour drive in February to Dice Tower West. Because we're in Canada, we only have a couple conventions. So we went straight to Vegas with some friends, and then up to Salt Lake City, and then to Reno for Gamma. And yeah, you just got to hustle and make it happen, I guess. We'll see what happens next year, but as a small publisher, investing into conventions has been good because we can meet with people in our chai community and retailers, other publishers. There's a whole ecosystem. So yeah, looking for those intangible values is really important, we feel, in the long run.
So what do you feel like your next steps are? It sounded like you were hinting at a potential coffee-themed game. Do you have other game designs in the works, or are you just working on expansions, or what are your future goals and ways you're trying to expand this?
Yeah, so High Tea actually came about when oh yeah, there it is.
Just got it yesterday, so.
Yeah, it came
nice.
about when our Chai Tea for Two campaign didn't look like it was going to work out with all the COVID stuff going on. Because we had committed to a print run, but then, like Daniel mentioned before, our retail date being set back, and then there being a backlog because of COVID, we needed to look at other options for that date as opposed to launching a new game altogether with our Tea for Two game. So that's still very much on our docket. It's
maybe August or September.
Yeah, something like that. We really love Tea for Two, and our community does too. So I think there were definitely a few people who wrote us and said, we were looking forward to that Tea for Two on that day. So that was sad. We wish it could have worked out, but as things go during these times. And then after that, we have another game that we can't really talk about too much, but it does have to do with Canadian animals. And can we talk about the artist?
Yeah, I guess Andrew Bosley is working on it. So that's been really cool. We love Everdale. It doesn't have a Canadian pine tree, don't worry. But Everdale is amazing, and he was really excited to work on it. So that, we were hoping to talk more about around Essen time, but we might have to bump it back to January or something. But yeah, he also worked on Chai Tea for Two, and all the artwork's done. We're just finishing up the solo rules and getting connected with reviewers. So yeah, we have those. We're trying to work on a roll and write called Pad Thai. So it has like little chopstick pens and
it's my favorite food.
diced peanuts, but
yeah.
Maybe that's more of a theme than we haven't worked out like the whole design yet. So that's been kind of cool as designers. There's always the debate. Do you do your theme first or the mechanics? And we're like, well, if the theme's not compelling, then why work on the mechanics? So we're trying to do both. And as we design more games, we're going to get better at designing them. So yeah, it's kind of been fun.
Do you have any like pet themes or things that you have, like the Pad Thai one, that you're hoping to get into another game soon?
Well, when we go on these long road trips, we have an idea journal. So you could like flip to page 40 or 2 and see some other crazy
There's so
idea.
Many, yeah.
We're trying to do like, what was one?
We had a mountain one.
Yeah,
the
like
mountain climbing one.
You roll different dice and you're trying to get up a mountain.
But people beat us to the punch for that one.
Yeah, our friend Darryl Andrews is coming out with one.
Yeah.
He did Sagrada. We have one where there's like your different countries in Europe, and then you're trying to marry off your kids, basically, for like diplomacy.
Like a courtship type thing.
Yeah, hey, maybe courtship is a great name, actually. That's brilliant. We should write that down. So instead of like doing the battles, you're trying to find out suitors for like your daughter or something. And it could be a lot of fun, and that's a theme no one's really done. Maybe revisiting the submarine game down the road, like post-apocalyptic. But then again, we are family game friendly, so like we're trying to figure out what is our brand, what's our identity, and then what are some games that would fit. So yeah, I think everyone struggles with that, and it's been cool kind of fleshing it out.
Very cool. Do you feel like you'll continue on launching through Kickstarter every time, or do you feel like, because I mean, Jamie started his career publishing in Kickstarter, but now is like gone the opposite, like never doing Kickstarter again. Like, what are your thoughts on Kickstarter and its impact on the board gaming community?
Yeah, I think that's a big question. I think for the foreseeable future, we'd like to do kind of a mix of both. We'd like to do some crowdfunded games, maybe our bigger ones, the bigger projects, and then some that are more geared towards retail, that are maybe a little bit more simple, because the simple games don't do as well on Kickstarter as the more elaborate ones. People want to see the stretch goals. They want to see a big kind of table presence and all of that. So, So I mean, Pad Thai, we thought about maybe just doing it direct to retail, because it is a simpler game. So
Yeah. And talking to publishers, or sorry, other distributors, there's always a good connection with Kickstarter and them. But if you do exclusive games on Kickstarter with like a lot of bells and whistles and you bling it out, then it can hurt retail sales. So we were lucky that we're charging a bit more for the deluxe for Chai, but then we're scaling it back a bit for retail. And we've had a lot of people who they're like, well, I don't need really fancy stuff, and I still want to try the game, and grandma loves tea, we got to get it for her, but yeah, a little cheaper version is definitely desirable. So we're figuring out the next couple years with distributors, because you have to line up with them and their spring releases or Christmas, all of these different things. So that's a new territory that we're just diving into. But yeah, we're excited for the Chai release in the fall, and then figuring out, do we go strictly Kickstarter or get some into retail, like you're saying.
Very cool. So tell me, how are you feeling about the current campaign? Do you feel like it's going as well, better, not as good as expected? Because I know that in launching mine, I'm always dreaming of something happening, and sometimes it doesn't quite meet expectations. Even though it's technically successful because it hit the goal, there's always the real actual goal that I have in my mind that's a little different. So what about your experience right now? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think just with COVID and everything, we honestly didn't know what it was going to look like. People were predicting about a month before that, Kickstarter is not really working out as well for everybody, and campaigns aren't funding, and, that kind of stuff. But then towards when we were about to launch, there were a lot more campaigns that were being successful. So I guess our expectations were just kind of out the window. It was hard to predict. I think currently how we're doing, we're actually pretty pleased with it. The trajectory looks like we're going to do fairly well, barring any kind of major issues happening. So yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think just setting ourselves up for success is also managing our own expectations. Because last time we had so much energy in our own lives, and local broadcast networks were coming over to tape us and being like, local couple gives up life savings to
gambles.
Yeah, gambles.
Life savings is what they said, and we were like, what?
Yeah, I mean, all publicity is great, but it also made us take a step back and realize, well, with 50 people back a day to 100, like that's good for us, and let's just keep trucking along and answering people's comments and questions as we go. And yeah, we're gonna make the expansion regardless, and that's just really exciting. So we really don't want to put like a burden on ourselves to be like, we're gonna have a $200,000 stretch goal, like everyone better back us or you're not gonna get it, kind of thing. The game was already released, and this is just an expansion that kind of gives back to the community. We decided on free shipping. Maybe it's not the best idea as we're starting to get different shipping quotes back, but yeah, that's okay. We're going to cover the manufacturing, and people are going to have it, and the journey will continue. So yeah, even our last campaign, we had game traits set at 150,000. And we were like 6 days out, and we had 80,000. We were super bummed because we'd been working on it, and people really wanted it. So we're like, hey guys, you know what? Let's make it 125,000. We changed the stretch goal, and then everyone got on board, and we were able to, shoot into the clouds there. So we feel like that's not really warranted for this campaign. I mean, we're totally open to ideas. Someone might come tomorrow and be like, you should add this one little mechanic in the game, and then, all right, we'll do it. Why not? But yeah, we've already exceeded our expectations, so the rest is gravy or cream, whatever you like in your tea.
Very cool. So if people want to find out more about you or follow you on social media, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, so we're on pretty much every social media platform out there. So Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Steeped Games in one word. And then, what else are we on?
Well, we have our Chai community on
Oh,
Facebook.
yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a private community. We had about 800 at the start of the first campaign. I think we went over 1,900 yesterday, so that's been really cool. We even had like a tea exchange. One lady started, so 50 people just gave tea, and then they all sent it to different places.
It's a Chai board game community. If you just search on Facebook, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome, and such fast growth for a board game community. That's so cool. Well, I have had a great time talking with you guys, and I am so excited for your campaign and to play the game soon. So congratulations on the success so far, and it looks like it'll be another great campaign. So looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Trent. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later.